So in this video, I want to talk about volume 12 of So I'm a Spider, So What? And at the start of this volume, it did start off a bit slow. It was kind of a little bit similar to volume 11, where it was a bit of stuff that I didn't have as much care about, just some certain characters that I was like, they're not bad, they're just not as interesting. But as the volume went on, things really started to pick up, and I think that's why volume 11 was done the way it was done. It was to get you to understand the hero, to get you to understand his backstory, what's going on, all that jizz jazz as I mentioned in the past video, and then you get into volume 12, which is a little bit more of that. And then you get into the big fight, which of course is centered around him fighting this big spider that is an offspring of the actual Demon Lord. But it is just a clone of it as well, not like a proper the higher tier version that she uses. So it's just one of those where it's like, even though, yes, he did defeat it, but the point of it was for him to use the hero's sword, and that was what they were trying to do. And I knew that straight away. They didn't even have to explain it in the light novels, which is good, by the way. That the fact that they don't have to explain it, you can tell what they're trying to do. Because as soon as the spider rocked up, and I was like, oh, yeah, he has that sword, and he even mentions about thinking about using it, but he's like, no, I can't do that. I've got to save it for the Demon Lord. It's like, oh, that's what they're trying to do. They're either trying to kill him, Rivet, or try and get him to use the sword. And I think it was more of an objective, clearly, as they stated, to get him to use that sword, because that sword is designed to kill a god. D left that behind, so it causes a lot of chaos. So it makes sense. It's a very smart strategy. I think it all makes sense. And then, of course, you got White, who stepped in at the end and basically killed the hero, but what she was trying to do was trying to remove the hero title, which she wasn't able to do. But it is kind of crafty. White is really quite smart. For how timid she is at talking, her brain is always moving, always going at 100 miles an hour, and always trying to come up with little ideas. And I think that was kind of smart. Like, she's gotten strong enough where even she can mess with the system, and she's like, can I remove this hero title? Because this is the thing. The Demon Lord can never defeat the hero. So it's one of those where it's like the hero will always win at the end. And that's why it's, if you're playing a strategy game in that, and if you're playing on the Demon Lord side, the best you can do is just constantly the Demon Lord can fight anyone else but the hero. So the Demon Lord has to stay away from the hero, and you have to use other things to kill the hero. So it is an interesting way of going about it. It is kind of rigged against the Demon Lord, but also if you're playing as that, it has an interesting strategy where you don't want to confront the hero. I mean, it kind of fits that perfect fantasy of hero versus villain, but also it can kind of backfire if you have White, who can just, like, one-shot anything into oblivion. So the Queen Pterodactyl, or however you want to pronounce it, that was their main goal, was to use that to try and get the hero to use the sword and use that one-time item that is designed to wipe a godlike power out. So it's really cool. I really like that part of the volume. It got way more interesting to the end, and especially with him seeing the person that he knew, that romance that was hinted in the past volume, and then it kind of pushing even more forward, and both sides kind of acknowledging stuff but not to each other. But then the way she ended up dying, it's just like, ooh. But also it really shows, because it's like, in a normal generic story like that, you'd see the love romance die, and then the hero would win and get revenge, but then he also dies as well. So that's one of the things I love about the light novel series, is that it doesn't follow that cliche story. But in a normal love style romance series, you would have the hero come out of that victory and be like, yeah, I defeated this big bad monster, and now I'm going to defeat the Demon Lord and get revenge for my one true love. And that's the kind of thing that you expect. You expect that kind of sappy little story to kind of play out. But again, it's So I'm a Spider, So What? So of course White just rocks up and one-shots him. Just power headshot, kind of in one of those MLG style old videos. Just, all the sirens, boom, 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 when she opens her eyes. I don't know. It's just kind of what I imagine when she'd be like getting excited, be like, pew. But you also notice that even the Demon Lord and White had a lot of respect for the hero as well, because they watched him throughout most of his life, or a decent chunk of like his heroine, and they note on just how he stuck to true values. And I think that's the thing, like, they don't want to do this, and this is the thing I like about the story, is that they don't want to do this, they just they have to do this. This is a decision that they know that they have to do to fix the system, to do what they need to do to stop this whole problem that it is. And it's not something that they can just sit there and say, hey, hero, let's have a discussion about this problem and try and explain how the world works and how the system works and how there are these gods. It's just not going to work, because you've got all these different powers and religions and groups and entities and governments that are going to sit there and go, no, 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 that's not how it works like this. And this is the whole problem. You've got the different types of groups, the Word of God and the other, like, two different churches kind of system, where they are the human faction, where they believe in the whole power system in a different way. I mean, they're basically should be technically on the same side. They believe in the same God, but they have a different belief system behind it. Kind of reminds me of other religions. But then you've also got the elves and their whole objective as well, and then you've got the demon lord and their own objectives. So you can tell that some people know certain things, but they want to go things about in their own way, and they're not going to listen to the other side, even if they do have facts that they don't want to listen to. Kind of reminds me of how humans work, where it doesn't matter what is true, it's how they want to perceive reality. So that's one of the things that I like about the light novel series, is it does bring a human element, or just a realistic element, to these different groups, and especially at the fact that the people that are serving the demon lord are too scared to fight against them. They're like, you know, we don't want to do this war, but we have to, because the demon lord is way stronger than you, Mr. Hero Boy. He's like, oh yeah, I'll defeat the demon lord. Then it's like, dude, you struggled to defeat that giant spider, and that was a clone of a non-original, and you struggled, and she's way stronger than that. So it's like, yeah, good luck, bro. You ain't got no hope in hell against her. Which, of course, White rocked up and finished it. So it's just, yeah, it's one of those parts that I really love about the light novel series. Now, you've also got the White Scarf as well, which is talked about in the earlier volumes, and now you kind of have an idea of, that white scarf has a bit of magic. What did they put into it? A protective, hey? So curious to see where that goes as well, because now we only have 4 volumes to go. And then you've got Sophia and the butler and the relationship, and also Sophia and the whole school situation, where she had this kind of like aura where she's just passively making boys fall in love with her and building like a cult, and they're all just like infatuated. She didn't even realize it, but at the same time she does have a bit of an ego, which is nice how White kind of grounds her a fair bit, because Sophia kind of has that mindset of like, she thinks she's better than everyone else, and now that she's as strong as that she is, she has got a bit of a chip on her shoulder, which is funny, because I think sometimes she forgets who kept her alive as long as she did. It was White that did it. So it is also kind of funny that White kind of grounded her down and made her apologize. And as much as, yeah, I can see where Sophia is coming from, like, you know, she's oblivious to certain things, it's like, yeah, but maybe you shouldn't get such a chip on your shoulder. And that other guy that ended up like ditching his wife to chase Sophia, it's like, oh, I'm not like controlled by her aura or anything. It's like, yeah, you are. Like, that's like the most level of denial that I've ever seen. It's like, oh yeah, I'm totally not controlled. I'm just doing this of my own free will, throwing my wife aside and doing all these stupid things and throwing away my own pride and honor and humility and everything else just to chase this girl that's never going to be interested in me. Yeah, you're totally not brainwashed by the aura. It's just like, okay, bro, whatever you say. And that's the thing. There's so many different layers to this volume. Sophia, the whole war itself. Then there's also the couple stuff. There's like these 2 individuals. I didn't care about that as much, and that's what I mean. Like, kind of reminded me a little bit of volume 11. Like, I get why they're there, and I'm not saying it's a bad thing that they're there entirely. It's just, as far as what I cared about the most in each individual volume, this was on the lowest priority. Like, I cared more about the hero stuff than this. Like, sure, you've got the students and some of their backstories, but some of them I'm just kind of like, let's get back to White and Sophia and the Demon Lord. And yeah, I guess the hero was a little bit more interesting as it went along, but you kind of also realize it in volume 11 and volume 12, that's what it was building up to, is that calm before the storm. And this still feels like the storm is still brewing up with volume 12 as well. So it's a great volume. It really is. I really enjoyed it. There's just some things, like I said, it didn't matter as much. The one thing I wrote down as a note, because I just thought it was really cool, is White and her spiders being like little mini spy cameras. I love the way how ingenious and like she's like a little engineer. She's like always coming up with little problem solving skills, or doing this, doing that. Ooh, I can use these spiders as webcams and build these like rooms with screens. And the Demon Lord's just like, yeah, it's a bit surprising, but not at the same time. It's like, it's the surprise of it in itself, but it's like, it's not a surprise that White would do something like that. So I that was my favorite little part at the beginning of the volume. It was just like White being White, with her coming up with all these crazy contraptions. It's the one thing that I've always enjoyed about the series as a whole, is just White. White to me has always been the center stage, the key to the story, and making it so fun and charismatic. So it's why, again, not to harp on, but why I just always enjoy when she's in the center stage and always doing her thing, because even though she doesn't talk a lot publicly, what's going on in her mind is just so much more fun and entertaining to see play out. So again, I'd love to know your thoughts in the comment section down below about volume 12 of So I'm a Spider, So What. And again, if you like this video, hit the like, subscribe, and I'll see you beautiful nerds in the next video.